The early morning mist clung to the fields as my child rested quietly at our farm, the pond lodge serving as a sanctuary from the world beyond the property. It was a place carefully curated for safety, learning, and the nurturing of both skill and responsibility. Yet, once again, HOA Karen saw an opportunity for interference. She dialed the police, reporting what she claimed was a disturbance, an alleged violation occurring right under her imagined jurisdiction. What she failed to recognize, as she often did, was that my child was not merely an ordinary resident of the farm. In addition to her personal responsibilities, she was a leader trained in elite military operations, with skills and authority that far exceeded Karen's understanding of influence or control. Her calls, meant to provoke action or intimidate, were met not with panic but with careful observation and strategy. I approached the scene methodically, ensuring that all lines of communication, physical boundaries, and security systems were engaged. The pond lodge, surrounded by natural barriers and reinforced with discreet but effective surveillance, became a controlled environment where any unauthorized intrusion would be immediately detected and documented. Karen's attempts to exert authority were undermined by the simple fact that she was unaware of the true nature of those she sought to influence. When the police arrived, responding to her report, they were faced with a scenario they had not anticipated. The situation was calm, organized, and thoroughly lawful. My child remained at rest, her environment secure, and every movement carefully monitored. Karen's claims dissolved in the clarity of evidence and preparedness. The authorities quickly realized that her intervention was unnecessary, inappropriate, and based on assumptions rather than reality. While Karen fumed, I documented the entire event meticulously. Each action, from her initial call to the arrival of law enforcement, was recorded for future reference. This was not merely about countering interference. It was about creating a record that would demonstrate the consistent pattern of overreach by the HOA. Every detail would serve as proof of their inability to recognize authority when it was grounded in knowledge, preparation, and lawful control. The day unfolded without escalation. Karen's repeated attempts to challenge the boundaries of our property were neutralized by foresight, vigilance, and the understanding that authority is earned, not assumed. The farm, its pond lodge, and its inhabitants remained secure, untouched by her intrusion. The landscape itself seemed to respond. The water in the reservoir mirrored the sky calmly, the livestock grazed peacefully, and the air carried a sense of quiet resilience. By afternoon, Karen had retreated, her presence a brief disturbance in an otherwise orderly domain. I walked the perimeter, observing the subtle signs of intrusion, reinforcing boundaries, and ensuring that any potential weaknesses were addressed. Barriers were adjusted, surveillance updated, and communications with local authorities clarified to prevent future misinterpretations of activity on the property. Every precaution was a reminder that intrusion would always meet careful, deliberate resistance. As evening approached, I reflected on the lessons of the day. HOA Karen's actions, though persistent, revealed her fundamental misunderstanding of authority and consequence. Her calls to the police were a manifestation of assumed power, yet they faltered against the structured, lawful, and prepared defense of the farm. My child, trained and aware, remained untouched by both threat and intimidation, and the pond lodge stood as a symbol of security and sovereignty. Night settled over the farm, the reservoir reflecting the stars in calm ripples. The wind whispered through the trees, carrying a quiet sense of triumph. Preparation, foresight, and strategic action had once again preserved what was rightfully mine. The HOA's intrusion, intended to challenge or disrupt, had failed completely, leaving only a record of overreach and a clear lesson. Authority without understanding is ineffective, audacity without preparation is dangerous, and intrusion into a domain carefully defended will always be met with resistance. By the time the lodge lights were dimmed and the farm quieted for the night, the lesson was clear and enduring. The HOA had tested limits once more, but the outcome was predetermined. Sovereignty, preparation, and lawful authority prevailed, leaving the pond lodge, the reservoir, and all who rested within it secure, respected, and untouchable.